my name's Naji. I head up innovation at Salmon, and I thought it'd be interesting kind of take you through a presentation that I've started taking a couple of our clients through. It's really about how Zero UI is going to change the purchase journey, especially within e-commerce. So again, it's not specifically Magento, but it's more about how this user journey is going to change drastically in the next coming couple of years. So just very quickly, the innovation team is called SLAM. Basically, we're around to inspire, to educate, and to execute, with execute being the key thing. So we really like to build software and test out new technologies to hopefully help our clients and our staff learn and inspire and get them to have really cool and interesting ideas. So it's really about pushing ourselves forward and our clients. Now, I've kind of split the presentation out with, you guys don't have my font, it's fine. I've kind of split it into three parts. So what is Zero UI? Because everyone usually thinks it's just Alexa. Why it's going to be important. And then finally, how you can prepare for this new technology. So firstly, what is Zero UI? And the first thing, of course, is things like Alexa, Google Home, things like that. The important thing here as well is the fact that some numbers came out recently over Christmas. Google actually sold 5 million of these devices. That's just over the Christmas period. So it's starting to be a device that quite a lot of people now have in their homes. So understanding how they work is going to be really important. Hearables, one of my favorite ones. So this is more about taking these devices and making them personal to the user. So you're seeing a lot of headphones coming out now that are Bluetooth enabled. A lot of those things like the Brady Dash are coming with Alexa built into them. Bose, of course, Google is partnering with a bunch of different suppliers, but they're basically building the Google Assistant into all these headphones. So again, people are going to be having these devices with them all the time, so how do we interact with them? We were lucky enough to be at CES this year, and Sony introduced a new concept to their Xperia Ear. The idea is now they want you to carry around this personal assistant, but it's actually built with a tiny hole in it so that you can hear the world around you. So they want you to have this in your ear all the time, which means when you're cycling, you're running, you're at work, they want you to have an assistant in your ear, reading out your notifications and delivering information. So again, this is going to get more and more intense as the years go on. Gestures. So this is an interesting one as well, which is getting more and more through a lot of different products. So of course, the Connect kind of started this all off. You've got Project Soli, which is something from Google, which allows you to use gestures. Project Jacquard, which I'm actually wearing, so you can swipe on the side of the jacket and it will interact with my phone, so I can pause and play music, skip calls, things like that by just rubbing my jacket, which is a bit weird. But they updated the app recently, and so now it crashes. So now my jacket crashes. Whatever, you know, new technology. And if you're lucky enough to get a BMW 7 Series and you've gone for the tech pack, you can actually use gestures in front of the dashboard. So if you want to turn the volume up, you can just do this. If you want to turn it down, you just do that. So again, this technology is kind of getting everywhere. Again at CES, let's see if this video plays. Sony's digital assistant has gesture technology built to the top of it. So you can kind of swipe your hand over the top, it'll play pause. You can just, again, make a ring and you'll turn the volume up and volume down. A little weird because, again, it seems a bit of a gimmick, but again, they're testing out these technologies because it means that sooner or later, the distance at which you can do that means that you probably don't have to walk up to the product. Sooner or later, you just, again, be able to do this and your speaker will go up and down. One of my favorites, none at all. So completely no UI whatsoever. So the example here is the Brita filter from Brita. It's called the Infinity. It can reorder you filters on your behalf because it knows when you're about to run out of filters. So basically, you buy this thing, you'll never have to buy filters ever again because it will buy it and replenish it through Amazon for you. So we're calling this proactive commerce, basically. It's not perfectly accurate, but it's close. Then, of course, you've got the Amazon Go Store. So that came out recently. That's public on Monday. The idea of a store having absolutely no UI whatsoever again. So you just walk in, grab what you want, and leave. And it feels like you're stealing stuff, but it works. An interesting fact about this, the the error rate they had on people accidentally taking products and not being charged for it was so low, they didn't calculate it into the actual margin of the store. So they thought that it's such a low chance that people are going to accidentally be charged for stuff that they just didn't bother adding that in as a problem for the store. So you basically can't steal from the store. My favorite one, and the last one from these ones, is BCI, or the brain-computer interface. This is the ultimate goal of Zero UI, and really is about trying to understand what you're thinking and then getting the computer to react on your behalf without you saying or doing anything. Facebook is investing extremely heavily in this, so they currently have it working to a point where they can get a person to type at 8 words per minute. The only downside is the electrode has to be drilled into your head. However, so it's a little downside, but the plan is in a couple of years for you to put a helmet on and for you to be able to type at 100 words per minute. So that's faster than you can type on a keyboard, that's faster than you can type on your phone. And their goal is in a couple of years to do this. It's closer than you think. So again, another picture here from CES. Nissan announced the brain-to-vehicle interface, and they were showing off it working. Basically, you can put this headset on, and they know that you're going to do something in the car 300 milliseconds before you do it, because they're getting it directly from your head. Which means if you're thinking about turning left, they're already prepping the car for you to turn left. If you're going to brake, they know you're about to brake, and 300 milliseconds before your foot touches the brake, it knows you're going to do that and preps the car to do so. So this stuff's already starting to come out. And so it really brings on to, well, why is Zero UI really important? And it's kind of broken down into a couple of bits, kind of 2 parts. The first is we're starting to digitize absolutely everything. A couple of years ago, I said, our toilet brushes are going to be digital, and how are you going to interact with it? Is it going to be with a touchscreen on it? Probably not. So the question is, how do you then interact? And again, another amazing thing from CES, this company, Kohler, announced a toilet, I shit you not, that costs $5,000 plus, has Bluetooth, speaker, microphone, Alexa integration, Google Assistant integration, and you can basically walk up to it and say, turn on my foot warmer. The foot warmer turns off, the seat lid comes up, you can sit down, have your number 2 or whatever, leave, and then say, Alexa, flush my toilet. And it will do it for you. What I love about it the most as well is that rich people apparently don't like lifting the lid, so it has to do it for them. So absolutely everything is getting this technology built into it because you're going to need to interact with it in some way, right? So it might as well be voice. Feel free to get on the wait list for that. I think it goes up to $7,000. We're also asking our computers to do more and more complex things. And that's also a problem because if we're, say, typing to everything, obviously we cannot give enough information fast enough for it to perform a task for us. So we're at this point where we really want fantastic bandwidth and give as much information as possible to our computers, but we want absolutely minimal effort to do so. So something like the dash button where you just press something and it goes off and does something, but you want it to be something quite complex. What we want is to be Professor X, where you can just think of something, I want pizza, and Wolverine goes off and gets you pizza. That's the holy grail, is that brain-computer interface. And so how we do this? Well, the main thing that we think is going to actually be the charge for this is going to be voice. And there are a couple of main reasons for that. Like I said earlier, the average typing speed is about 40 words per minute. The average conversation, so me talking, is about 120 to 160 words per minute, depending on how much coffee I've had. The next thing is, NLP has become a hell of a lot better. So natural language processing means we can understand more and more complex information from people, and again, be able to then figure out what the person wants and deliver that back to them. Also, one of the best things is the fact that the learning curve is quite low. because I'm sure we've all had the problem where you go to a meeting room, you hook up your laptop, there's about 5 remotes for the TVs, and you just cannot switch on the right channel or the TV or the projector. It just doesn't want to do something. And again, it feels like you need a manual for that. But if you could just walk in and just hook up your laptop and just say, show my laptop on the TV screen, and it just goes off and does it, suddenly everyone can do that. So that learning curve becomes really small. An additional thing as well, finally, is about efficiency. So if you can start to integrate voice into your daily life, and working on your at work on your laptop, and you can start integrating voice with all the different things around you. So you work in analytics, and you want to know how many website views you had on Tuesday. You want to be able to just say that out loud and for the information to be brought back to you. So again, making you more efficient. So again, why is it more popular? The data we have at the minute, mainly from Google, is around between 2008 and 2016, there was a 35 times increase in the usage. 20% of searches in the US on Android were done with voice in 2016, which is a huge number. But again, mainly that's just looking at Android. And the reason for that really is the error rate has dropped so much for pretty much 95% accuracy, which means it's almost as good as you talking to another human being. And then finally, better recognition in noisy environments. So I now use my phone, basically voice, pretty much solely at home. And even now when I'm out at the pub and someone asks a question, how old is so-and-so? You can just okay, Google, how old is so-and-so, and it will just work. More and more brands are investing in it. So these are just a couple of brands. LG even sells a sells some of their smart appliances that come as standard with a Google Home. So again, we're starting to get to this point now where you haven't really got a choice. Stuff is going to come with, Alexa integration, Google Home integration. It's like Bluetooth. You can't buy a phone without it. That's the kind of point we're going to get to. Some of the news headlines that came out of CES, it was just riddled with Google Assistant. It was plastered everywhere. Every single stand had some kind of sign dedicated to it. Cortana even got a mention. Admittedly, it's not a positive one. But every single stand had something to do with the digital assistant and using your voice to interact with a computer. And so what we see is that this is probably going to change the journey in which people go through their purchase cycle, so how they buy a product. And so what we kind of feel is going to happen is the display isn't going to die, but it's going to become this fallback UI. You're going to start your journey probably with voice. If you're buying something expensive, you'll probably end up wanting to see what it looks like. But those repeat purchases, why do you need a screen for that? You should be able to just ask for it and it goes off and gets bought and you don't have to think about it again. Like, why do we have to keep buying milk by looking at a screen? We should be able to just say, buy the milk. I buy the same milk every single week. It should just repeat that purchase. So, for instance, myself, I have Alexa and Google Home at home. I get my groceries from Amazon as well, which means that I pretty much just use Alexa for adding stuff to my basket. And the only time I look at my phone is to look at my basket, double check that it's all there, and then I just press buy. And then I'll never look at the app again until it comes to re-looking at that basket. So most of my stuff is all done through voice. So we kind of see ourselves as pretty much in this bit here, but then as time goes on, Zero UI will start to take up more and more of our experiences with the brands. Whoa. That's supposed to be a really nice fade for the whole thing. So what makes a really ideal experience? This is a lovely cake that my sister made. She works at a bakery, so gets a nice free cake. I kind of thought I'd just write down a couple of examples. So, for example, my problem with shoes is that whenever I've got a hole in them, I always find out first thing in the morning, and I never forget to buy a new pair for another week or two, usually when it's raining. And so what tends to happen is you want to just put them on, realize that they're got a hole in, and you just say, computer, buy me a new pair of Converse, blue, please. And knows my size, knows that I prefer to get it delivered to my office, goes off, does it, and just says, that'll be £30. You've been charged to your HSBC or Amex or whatever. Groceries, like I said, again, should be super simple. When I wasn't using Alexa for doing my shopping, my wife would be in the kitchen and I would have the app and she'd be shouting out onions and I'd be going, onions, milk, milk. And I'd basically be Alexa. But at this point, it's a lot easier because I can just be in the cupboard. I can open the fridge, grab the milk's about to run out. Cool. Alexa, add milk to the basket. And it knows what milk I usually order and it adds it to the basket. And it's done and it's easy. The more complex thing is when you're buying expensive products. So luxury items, cars, houses, things like that. At this point, you're going to start thinking about how we integrate voice with all the different UIs that are around. So how do you utilize it when, say, the idea is that you wake up in the morning, you decide, right, I'm going to buy a new car. You just say out loud, right, get me a list of cars that are £25,000, have good mileage, and come in blue. And again, you get a list sent to you, but you'll want to actually view that on your phone or your laptop. And then maybe later on you say, show me the Prius that you sent me, and it just shows up on your TV at home. And again, you confirm that purchase, and then it's about saying, right, now book a test drive for me. And it knows your calendar, knows when's best to do it, and just goes off and actually does it for you. So it's going to be more complex when we start talking about these bigger products. So how do you prepare? So one of the things that pretty much every brand has are brand guidelines. They spend a lot of time making these design guidelines look amazing and ensuring that you know exactly how many pixels should be around the logo. But how many know what their brand should sound like? Are they male? Are they female? Are they courteous? Are they young or old? Are they young to young people, but older to older people? Or are you just one person all the time? So these are all the kind of questions that we're now needing to sit down and go through with clients and say, right, what does your brand mean? What does it sound like when you have got no auditory or visual cues at all? We see copywriting is going to be far more important as well. So copywriters sitting down with, say, developer and going through, say, the chatbot to ensure that everything that's being sent back is correct and sounds like it would be the brand saying things. Because sooner or later, the chatbot's going to say something you're not going to like, which we've seen. What is your zero UI journey? Do you need to have a complete zero UI? Are you end-to-end, the ability to use Alexa for something, or is it just a very small section of it? So for example, if you're an automotive company, are you just going to think about servicing, or are you going to think about how do you buy the car? Which bit are you going to aim for? No visuals. So like I said, how are you going to actually work in a world where you've got no visual cues? There's no shelf anymore. How are you going to interact with these users without anything visual whatsoever? One thing that's probably going to happen is because these are AI things kind of bringing you back, one thing we've noticed is you're not going to look through a list of things. So it's going to choose the top 3 products and list those out for you, which means if you're the 4th product, no one is going to buy you. So ensuring that your product meets the needs of your users is going to be extremely important, because shit stuff is going to go down to the bottom and the great stuff is always going to rise to the top, because it's not about how I feel or about the marketing I've seen. It's going to be about, does this product fulfill my needs? Of course, I'm going to say make a POC, because that's basically what my team does. But it's really important, because being able to build and try things with working code is extremely important. We found with one of our clients where the APIs were fast enough for the website, it was perfectly adequate, they were really good. But then as soon as we went to voice, you need something even faster because it becomes conversational. So that, half a second load time, or half a second to get information back in an entire basket just isn't fast enough. Because you're sitting there going, right, you're asking a question, it's like, oh, it feels like I'm actually talking to a machine now. I'm not talking to what should feel like a conversation. So again, really important to do that. So finally, my advice really is, learn about it. Probably don't go as far as me and put one in every single room of your house, but definitely buy at least one and just try to learn what it's like and understand what the pitfalls are and the limitations. For example, I know that when I say the word purple, it doesn't work on Google Home for some reason. Don't ask me why, it's just really weird. And also, it just really gives you an idea of what it's like to talk and use these devices. And then finally, my scary slide for brands, which is, what happens if you don't invest? Well, zero UI is going to be massive, so you'll just be left behind. And that's where I drop the mic and I just leave. And that's it. Thank you very much.